Hello, welcome to Facebook Live. BT Sport scores on at 2:30. BT Sport 1, 2 and Twitter FA Cup third round weekend. Absolutely brilliant. Always one of the best weekends of the year. We've got Dean Saunders and Shay Given with us, who both won the FA Cup. Robbie's played in a semi-final. Chris has refereed the FA Cup final as well. And we've got Chris here. Look, he's got his clipboard ready to talk about VAR, hasn't he? Because, of course, it's coming in on Monday night. This could be quite lively. Let's have a quick look at the Merseyside derby last night, though. Virgil van Dijk, £75 million, starts off with the winning goal. Pickford makes the wrong decision here, doesn't he?
Well, you can ask Shay about that, but I just thought Van Dijk on the night, £75 million. I thought he was a leader, defended well, won most headers, passed the ball well, and the desire to score that header, you know, at the Kop end as well. What a debut. He could have scored one before that, but I think Shay might comment on Pickford.
Pickford's done so well, hasn't he? But just the wrong decision?
Yeah, I think goalkeeping's more about just, you know, making saves and what have you. You've got to make decisions as well. For me, it was the wrong decision. The delivery into the box from the corner was a good one. He should have stayed at home and given himself a chance of saving the header, and possibly could have done that if he had stayed at home. Yep,
but Liverpool on the way, Dean. You won the Cup with Liverpool. They're on the way this year.
Yeah, and that's a great start for that man. He's under a bit of pressure, 75 million. And to score a goal in the derby, that's him. He's a hero now. Whatever he does in the future, he's already done enough.
OK, let's talk about the penalty. Well, he started the right way.
He hasn't done enough, has he, already?
Let's talk about the penalty.
Can he start again? Did he say Shay won the FA Cup?
Yes.
He reffed the FA Cup final,
yes.
And I won the FA Cup, yes. And Rob got to the semi-finals.
Yes.
Yeah,
I thought you said that.
He hasn't done enough.
Carry on.
He hasn't done enough. One goal. He's done enough already.
You've never played in one of them derbies, Sav. When you've played in one of them derbies, you'll know what I mean.
Carry on, Mark. Carry on, Mark.
VAR coming in on Monday night, our live game, of course, Brighton and Crystal Palace. And we want to see what happened with the penalty decision yesterday that Bobby Madley gave, the foul on Lallana. And Chris, OK, here we go. Talk us through what the process would be now on Monday night were that to happen in the Brighton Crystal Palace game.
Yeah. OK, well, Bobby Madley's given a penalty kick. Unless there's a clear and obvious error by the on-field refereeing team, the video assistant referee won't get involved, unless, of course, the referee asks him to. So in that situation, that's not a clear and obvious error by the referee, and Bobby Madley's awarded a penalty kick, and people will agree and people will disagree about it, but there would be no intervention there because it's not clear and obvious.
Yeah, but Mike Riley said last night that it can get involved if it's a penalty situation, which that clearly was. And for me, I think it's an error. I think it's a wrong decision.
Well, everybody's got an opinion, and what we shouldn't do is sanitise football. I mean, from my point of view, I think it's a penalty kick, and I agree with Bobby Madley. And I don't feel as though the referee, who's the VAR, would disagree.
How was that a penalty kick?
Well, why is it not a penalty kick?
Because he's put his arm there. There's no force in his arm, and if you look at Lallana's legs. Listen, if I was in the Lallana situation, I'd probably do the same thing. If his legs collapse, but the contact's there.
Look at his arms, even in that picture. What's his arms doing up there?
How was that a penalty?
Well, he's got his arm across it.
No, his arms. I'm not about Lallana's arms.
Well, I'm looking at the defender in this situation. Yeah. He's got his arm across him. Does he impede him? Yeah, he does. Is the contact? It's a penalty. I know where
contact means
you're
penalty.
coming from. Penalty kick.
So contact doesn't automatically mean penalty, surely.
Not always.
But what about his feet, Chris? Look at Lallana's feet, which sort of flick up in the air like he's a horse.
And his arms.
Yeah, but the situation you got for the referee, he judges what he sees, and that is not a clear and obvious error. That will always cause debate. That situation.
But so say you're in the VAR wagon or whatever it's called, and you know he says, "I think you got that wrong."
Yeah.
So what? And he thinks he's got it right because you're saying.
Well, what he would do if the video assistant referee thought he got it wrong because it's a penalty kick, he can intervene. And what he would do, he would wait then, because the ball would, the ball stops.
Say he's not sure, like the guy in the wagon's not sure.
Well, he's got to be sure, hasn't he? Because he's an experienced referee as well.
Dean, do you think it was a penalty?
If you watch, I don't know if you can run it back to the challenge just before it, where I think it's Jagielka. He's done exactly the same. He's gone tight with the other centre forward. He's put his arms on him, on his back, and then they've laid the ball off just there. Is it Jagielka or is it Keane? Keane's put his hands on Firmino's back.
Schneidlin.
Yeah, right. He's put his hands on his back. It's the same challenge, but Lallana, Holgate's just trying to get tight with him. He changes direction. So what's Holgate got to do? He can't. Where can he go in right now? Where can Holgate go? Nowhere. And then Lallana's felt his arm and just gone over. It's not a penalty for me.
Chris, I just want to carry on with what Shay was asking you. So the man in the sky, the fourth official, whatever we call it, says, I think you've got that wrong. What happens there? Because Bobby Madley can just ignore him and say, no, I'm confident I've got it right. What happens?
No, what he would do, we'd stop the game.
Yep.
He would review the incident, and then at appropriate time, he could actually look at the screen on the other side of the field. the referee, obviously go to make this, you see it in cricket, and he could change his mind if that was the case. But in that situation, I don't see a VAR change.
So the referee can actually go to the screen as well and look at it. The referee's made the decision.
What Bobby Madley can do is he can ask the referee, the VAR, if he thinks he's made a mistake, and then he would look at it, and if he thinks he has, he would say to him, look, go to the screen, you might want to look at this, this situation.
When we get to a scenario, though, Chris, like we do, I see in rugby league, I'm a big fan of rugby league,
Massive,
most decisions now, they do that. Most tries.
Yeah, and
will we not get to a point of that?
Well, myself, I'm a massive rugby league fan as well, and that's one of the things that infuriates the fans, is that the referees go to the screen a lot, and people don't want to see it. And the other thing as well is, with our game in the Premier League, it's fast, it's furious, it's intense, it's end-to-end. We're talking about timescales now of stopping the game, looking at the screen, coming back and then restarting play. I just don't think we should get beaten up on this one decision. I think on Monday night, it'll become more clear.
Do you not think there's going to be teething problems, lots and lots of them? It's going to take a lot of... It's going to be lots and lots of problems.
Have there been in Bundesliga, Serie A, Australian A-League?
This is 18 months down the line now, and it's been in, I think it's something like 500 games where we've looked at this. And it's this is version 8. So it's not the done deal, and what we've got to do is we've got to carry on with football the way it is. Let the referees and assistants do exactly what they do. And nature will take its course with VAR, and I can't wait for Monday night to see how it pans out.
See, if Dino's shirt went to the VAR, that would be a big no. I
took a mortgage out to buy this shirt. You wouldn't know what one of them is. Lawrence Llewellyn blowing. Your handkerchief in your pocket.
Who's blowing? Who's blowing?
We've got, just to bring it back to last night, we want to talk about Firmino and Holgate. Now, there is a report gone into the FA about what may or may not have been said. So we're not going down that road. We're looking at the challenge. We're looking at Holgate shoving Firmino into the crowd. And again, with a VAR hat on, would VAR come into this in any way?
No, because for me, it's not a red card. I just think that's reckless. That is a reckless push. I know he's gone into the crowd, but if he didn't go into the crowd, people wouldn't be making a big thing of it. You can't judge it as violent conduct. And the referee, as you can see from this incident, there's a lot going on now.
He done well there. He stepped in between them.
Yeah.
He done really well to defuse that.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what the referee did, I mean, fair play to him. He's got involved, and he's he's used his physicality to prevent what could have been a melee. And there's an aftermath to it. The FA are going to look into that. That's something that they will deal with. But I thought he dealt with it really, really well.
Apart from giving a yellow card, but could he give a yellow card?
Well, yes. Could he say you should give a yellow card? Could the fourth official?
No, he can't do that. That's down to the referee. So let's get away from VAR for a minute. The fourth official could help in that situation because it's not a red card.
So at half-time, we're going to show a little bit of an interview that Graham Poll did with Mike Riley last night. And it's worth reiterating this today, Monday, and for the next X months. The 4 scenarios where VAR would get involved are...
Red card, penalty, mistaken identity, and I've written the last one down, is goals.
Goals. And when you say red card, we mean straight red. We don't mean second yellow, therefore sent off.
There is a scenario with a second yellow, but that's another part to it.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, Robbie.
So you know the Chambers handball, West Brom, Arsenal. If that would have been VAR, Mike Dean give the penalty. Yeah. If you'd have been in the VAR booth, what would you have done there?
I would have told Mike, well, the game stopped, and I would say, Mike, I'm checking the footage of this situation.
That was your decision?
That's my decision. I'm checking the footage, just wait. And I would say to him, I can tell you quite categorically that is not handball. Right. He would go with my decision.
Now, does he have to believe you? Does he have to go with you?
Well, I would be... The person who's the VAR is an elite referee. So he's one of the 18 select group referees. So you would go with it. If you had any sort of doubts and you weren't sure, you might want to check it yourself. In that case, you could go to...
So you say, Mike, it's not a penalty, and you go, OK, but I'd just like to double-check. And therefore, Mike D then walks to the touchline, the other side to the dugouts. Can you imagine if it was the same side? The other side of the dugout and looks at a screen.
And then you've got the time element then that it's going to take.
Still, and
that's subjective once again.
Yeah.
From another referee.
Well, it is, but...
Shouldn't there be 2 of you?
I don't think that's a difficult...
Shouldn't there be 2 of you up there looking at it?
Right, what happens...
So you both get it right.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, what you've got is you've got a VAR who is going through it and looking at it, and if the game is going on, there's an assistant VAR while the game's going on, if these are incidents that are unfolding as the match goes on. But that one's quite straightforward, because I would have said, don't restart the match. I've looked at that. That's not a penalty.
But Mike Dean still would have the ultimate say, so he might actually still disagree with you and award the penalty.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
Oh, he could do that.
We've seen that in Italy recently.
Well, that's what we're finding. We need to look. These are everything that everyone watching needs to know this.
Yeah, because
he could say, Chris, I respect you, but I think I'm still right. It's still a penalty.
Absolutely.
And can I ask one more?
Yeah.
Eden Hazard,
Yeah.
Bellerin. I think that was a penalty. If that was checked, what would you say?
I think that's a penalty kick as well. I wouldn't disagree with you on that. I think the discussion afterwards was when the player went to ground holding his shin.
Yep.
When he kicked the bottom of his boot.
Yep.
So
it's a bit like Lallana going down like that when he's been held. But
I mean,
I suppose...
But we all do
and the other thing is, if you
yes.
come back to the original point we were talking about, is that a clear and obvious error? Well, no, it isn't. I think it's a great decision by the referee, and I agree with you, Robbie.
So, if it's not a clear and obvious error, on the whole, you're going to stay with the on-field referee's decision?
Yeah, the referee is going to referee the football.
But what is a clear and obvious error? Because
well, Mike Dean's handball, you would say was
Well,
a
I'll give you
clear
an
and obvious error.
example.
Yeah.
It's where a player drives into the penalty area, he hits the ground, and the referee blows and gives a penalty, and the player dives. So he's given a penalty when it's a dive. That is an example of it.
Again, that's subjective.
Last night's a really good example because us three are saying it's not a penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's up in the VAR wagon
says
saying
it
it
is.
is. The referee's saying it is.
Yeah.
So
what we're saying is it's not a clear and obvious error. This is the thing. I mean,
It's never going to eradicate
we've
everything.
not.
Shay. That's what we have to accept.
Monday night
yeah.
is the first game in this country that it goes live in a competition. We may get 20 games this season with VAR. It's the first time it's been used, and I would imagine it's a work in progress. There's lots and lots of questions going to come out of this,
Sure.
and I think after Monday, a few of those questions might be answered. So exciting times.
What we're saying is it cannot eradicate everything. Not everybody is going to agree with every decision because there is still a subjective viewpoint from the man or woman in the middle and all the one
arguably,
upstairs.
should there be a referee up there and maybe an ex-player or someone who knows the game, possibly?
Well,
Not saying you don't
Somebody
know
who knows the...
I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. Back it up.
Rabbit punch.
The thing is, Shay,
We know what you meant, Shay.
you might be in version 9.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So can I just clear this up? So Hazard, Bellerin, that incident is not classed as an obvious error.
Well, no, because it's correct. It's not a clear, it's not a clear and obvious error by the on-field refereeing team. It's a penalty.
Because it's split 50-50. There's people who think it was a penalty, and there's people who don't think it was a penalty.
But while it's happening, the VAR is checking. He's watching that.
So
He's
therefore it's
watching
not a clear and obvious error because people are split. Would it be the same if he hadn't given a penalty? It's not a clear and obvious error.
Yeah.
Say if he hadn't given a penalty, could the VAR guy say, you've got that wrong, it's a penalty?
Well, what he would say is that when the game stops to a neutral place and the ball goes out of play,
Look, I'm having a look.
checking.
Right, okay, yeah.
I'm checking. I mean, the other one, of course, I think it was last week. Was it last week, the week before, was down at Crystal Palace with Raheem Sterling and Wilfried Zaha.
Yes, yeah, the penalty.
And people said, no, it's not a penalty, it's a dive. And it's not a clear and obvious error. So it's going to be really interesting.
I think what we have to reiterate is there's no way this is going to eradicate all mistakes, and every football fan is going to get to the end of 90 minutes and say every decision, whether it went for my team or against it, I agree with. There are still going to be some subjective, valued judgments made by the referee.
And the other thing as well is we're not re-refereeing football matches.
No.
The Premier League is built on.
How do you feel about it?
I think for offside, Llorente's goal for Spurs Swansea, I think VAR would be perfect for that.
Yeah.
That is offside or onside, and he was offside. The goal ruled out perfect. But I think when it's subjective, I think it's going to be difficult. We're all disagreeing now.
The red cards is going to be the most difficult. You know, the tackle in the middle of the pitch. The men in the pubs are all saying, I think that was a red card. I don't. You can't give him a red card for that.
And
That's not a red card.
That's a great point, because when you talk about red card challenges, if you look at any game in the Premier League and take a still photograph or slow it down, you can go, that's a red card, that's a red card. You've got to look at it in real time, and that's what they're going to be encouraged to do, the VARs, because we don't want to see that still photography, slow motion.
So, but thinking about, remember Vincent Kompany on Jamie Vardy early on in the game, and I think he only got a yellow, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, he's red, he's clean through.
Yeah.
You know, that might be one again where the man in the sky...
Perfect example.
But if the yellow card is given, can the VAR man or woman say, I think that should have been red?
Absolutely.
Tell you what's for me then, on diving. So you burst into the box, and we've talked about this. If the referee gives a penalty, just say, and then the VAR says, yeah, I believe he's dived. For me, if I know I've not dived, I would try and take it further. Because if I know I've not dived, basically you're saying I'm cheated, yeah? But if I know there's a slight nick, how do you know that I've dived? Because we were talking about this earlier. Dino, who's a quick centre forward, goes into the box. A guy's coming across at full speed, and he's anticipating the challenge, and he's gone like that, and he goes over. Has he dived?
Well, diving in itself has become a massive thing this year because we've got the 12-month experiment with retrospective punishments, haven't we? So you've always got in your mind as a referee, you want to get that big decision right. So, and there's 3 bits to it for me. Is there anticipating contact, which you mentioned, getting out of the way? Is there initiating contact, or is there exaggerating? So there's lots and lots to go at, and I can think about, you know, many, many incidences.
This is going to come up all afternoon and for the rest of the season. Chris, you're going to be with us. Thank you very much indeed. We're on Twitter or on BT Sport 1, BT Sport 2 in half an hour at 2:30. So look forward to joining us then, and we'll talk more about VAR, won't we?
Can't wait, Fergus.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you.